Okay, so the scan process is over. It took 2 minutes and it discovered one new host because we only had one host and 33 new services installed on it. So I'm going to go back and click on my Metasploitable machine to see what we have discovered. So you can see here 33 services, and also it managed to detect one vulnerability. So let's go on the analysis and go on the hosts. And you'll see that I have my host here and it's scanned. It has been scanned correctly. It's a VMware, it's a server, and it's running on Linux 8.04. So I'm going to click on the IP. And as you can see, the first thing that you see is the installed services. So you can see the name of the service, for example, DNS here, running on port 53. The port is UDP. It's an open port, and the service information is here. You can switch through these pages like so. For example, here you can see that we have the FTP that we were looking at before, and it's Pro FTP running on TCP on 2121. We have our Apache running here at 80. So it's the same results that we got from Nmap, and we have our 21 VS FTP, which we used the backdoor from. So the same result as Nmap. It actually used Nmap, but it's just showing it to us here in a nice web GUI. The sessions is where you see the connections. If you exploited anything, you'll see them here. We'll come back to this in a minute. Vulnerabilities will show you the vulnerabilities that has been discovered. So with Nmap, we only got the services. In this, it actually maps if it finds a vulnerability, and if it Metasploit has an exploitation for that vulnerability, it will actually show it to us right here. So we can click on this right now, and you should get more information about this vulnerability, but the link here is wrong, so it took us to a 404. Credentials will show you if there is any interesting credentials that the program managed to find. So we can see here for PostgreSQL, it managed to find the username and the password, which is Postgres, which it's a weak password, and that is the password for the admin. And if you click on this, it will validate it for you. So you can see that I've already validated this. Now we can use this. We can literally go ahead and connect to the SQL database here using these information, using the username Postgres and the password Postgres. Let me show you a quick example of this. So I'm going to my terminal, and I'm going to use the command that you used to connect to SQL, to PostgreSQL. So it's PSQL. You put the IP that you want to connect to after the H, and then you put the username. So that's what I did right here. And now it's asking me for the password, and we're going to put the password that we captured, which is Postgres. And as you can see, I managed to log in to the database right here. So I can run any SQL command now on the target computer. So SQL is the language that is used to communicate with databases. I'm not going to go into too much detail here. I'm just trying to show you that we managed to capture a username and a password for a database, and the database we can communicate with using the SQL language. So what I can do is select the current database just as an example. And you can see that it selected my current database, which is also called Postgres. So just a quick example to show you that the captured data here is correct. Now here there is no captured data from the file or from the target computer. On the notes, you'll see some interesting notes, some of them about the HTTP requests, for example. For some of the methods that's used, you can see that the PHP fingerprint here, it's coming from a Ubuntu machine using Apache. So you can go through the notes, which can be useful for the information gathering process. File shares will show you any files being shared from the target computer. So we can see that there is a printer being shared. Attempts will show you the attempts that we did on the target computer. And modules will show you the modules that can be used to exploit any found vulnerabilities. So we can see here we had a vulnerability called the Java RMI server. And in here we have a module to discover this, which is this one. And we have a module that can be used to exploit this vulnerability. So I'm going to launch this, and I can launch this module straight from the tool. So I'm just going to click on the launch. So this will allow us to run the exploit from within Metasploit community. So we can literally just copy this and go and do it the same way that we did it in the previous videos. This is the module name, and do a use exploit multi-misc Java RMI server, set the payload, set the L host, set the R host, and then exploit the same way that we did it before. Or we can let a Metasploit community do all the work for us. So we can see that it already picked the target address and it's put it correctly. And I'm going to set the connection to reverse. And the payload type, I'm going to keep it to Meterpreter. Now you can choose the command shell, which is what we used before. And the Meterpreter is just a different type of payload that we'll talk about later. So I'm going to leave it for now. And I'm just going to run the module. And as you can see, the module did run. And the output is very similar to what you get from the Metasploit console. And it says that session 1 opened, so it already has created a session for us, so we can communicate with. And you can see that the session tab in here, it has a number 1. So if I click on that, you'll see that we have a session open, and it's on the Metasploitable machine or on the Metasploitable project, and it used the Java RMI server. So if I click on that session, you'll see all the things that I can do to that computer. Now we can use the collect data to get some sensitive data, but we won't be able to use that because it's all for the pro version and we have the community version. You can access the file system using this, and you literally have a web-based file browser, so we can browse through the files of the target computer right here. Or we can just get a command prompt for the Meterpreter like what we used to get before. So if I get a command shell, you'll see that I have a Meterpreter command shell which allows me to use the Meterpreter payload. Now I'm going to talk about the Meterpreter payload and how to use it in the post-exploitation, but I'm just going to show you that I have full access to the target computer from here, and I'm able to do whatever I want to do on it. So that was really cool. Metasploit did everything to us through the browser. We didn't have to go and run Metasploit and manually configure the payload and the exploit. Now, there is one last thing that I want to show you, which is the modules tab here. So some of these modules don't have to give you full access. Some of them can only be used to do a denial of service. Some of them are code execution vulnerabilities, but they might not work. So you can try them and see if they work. You can literally click on it and run it from within the computer. Now you can see that this is just an information gathering module, so it doesn't exploit anything. Some of them allow you to upload files, and some of them allow you or give you a Meterpreter session. So you can try all of them the same way that we did it. You click on it and you can run it from within the web interface here. Now the tool also offers other features such as the web apps feature, which scans for web apps. You can do a report, so you can create a report of the findings of everything that has been found. But the problem is these features are only limited for the Pro edition, so we can't really use them unless we pay for the program.